The knife was still in my side when he found me. I'd managed to crawl maybe 10 feet from where it happened, leaving a trail of blood across the marble floor of the gallery like some macabre art installation. My white blouse, the expensive one I'd saved 3 months to buy, was soaked through, red blooming across the fabric in a pattern that would have been beautiful if it wasn't my life draining away. The pain was beyond anything I'd ever imagined, sharp and hot and all-consuming. But worse than the pain was the cold creeping up from my fingers, the gray edging into my vision. I was going to die on the floor of the Castellano Art Gallery, and I didn't even know why. "Jesus Christ!" the voice came from above me, rough and commanding. "Don't move. Stay still." I tried to focus on the face swimming into view, but everything was blurry. Strong hands pressed against my side, and I screamed. The sound echoed off the vaulted ceilings, bouncing back at me like an accusation. I know it hurts, but I need to keep pressure on it. The voice was closer now, urgent. "Look at me. Hey, look at me." I forced my eyes to focus. The man kneeling beside me in his expensive suit was maybe 35, with dark hair and the kind of face that belonged on movie screens, all sharp angles and intensity. But it was his eyes that caught me, held me. Deep brown, almost black, and fixed on me with an expression I couldn't read. "What's your name?" he asked. "Sophie." My voice came out weak, thready. "Sophie Chen." "Okay, Sophie. I'm Luca Castellano. This is my gallery, and you're going to be fine. You understand? I've got you." He pulled out his phone with one hand while keeping pressure on my wound with the other. "I need an ambulance at the Castellano Gallery now. Woman in her 20s, stab wound to the left side. She's losing a lot of blood." Castellano. Even through the fog of pain, the name registered. Everyone in the city knew the Castellano family. Old money mixed with new power, legitimate business fronts hiding operations that were anything but. Real estate, construction, art galleries like this one. And if the rumors were true, a dozen other enterprises that law enforcement couldn't quite prove. "Who did this to you?" Luca's voice cut through my spiraling thoughts. "Sophie, stay with me. Who stabbed you?" I tried to remember. I'd been working late, cataloging new acquisitions for the upcoming exhibit. I was the assistant curator, trusted with the keys, often the last one to leave. Someone had come in through the back entrance. I'd heard footsteps, turned, and then pain. An arm around my throat, a voice in my ear saying words I couldn't process, and then the knife sliding between my ribs like I was nothing. "Didn't see," I managed. "Behind me." Male voice. He said this was a message. Luca's expression went very still, very cold. "A message for who?" "For you." The words took almost everything I had left. He said, "Tell Luca Castellano, his protection means nothing." Something dangerous flickered across his face, there and gone so fast I might have imagined it. "You have 3 seconds," he said quietly, but underneath the quiet was steel. "Who stabbed you? What did he look like?" "I told you, I didn't," I gasped as pain lanced through me. Didn't see his face, but his voice, familiar. I know that voice. From where? Here, the gallery, someone who's been here before. My vision was graying out again. "I'm sorry, I can't remember. Don't apologize. You're doing great." But his jaw was tight, his free hand clenched into a fist. "The ambulance is 2 minutes out. You're going to make it, Sophie. You hear me? You're going to make it, and then you're going to help me find whoever did this." I wanted to tell him I was just an assistant curator, that I wasn't brave or strong, that I didn't belong in his world of messages delivered with knives. But the darkness was pulling at me, soft and insistent, and it was so much easier to just let go. "Sophie, no, stay with me." Luca's voice followed me down into the dark, anchoring me. "Come on, don't you dare die in my gallery. That's an order." The absurdity of it, being ordered not to die, almost made me laugh. Almost. Instead, I forced my eyes open one more time, found his face, and held on. The ambulance arrived in a blur of sirens and urgent voices. Paramedics swarmed, asking questions I couldn't answer, doing things to my body that hurt worse than the knife. Through it all, Luca stayed beside me, his hand wrapped around mine, his voice a constant thread pulling me back every time I started to drift. "She's lost a lot of blood," one of the paramedics said. "We need to move now." "I'm coming with her." Luca's tone left no room for argument. "Sir, family only." "I said I'm coming with her." The paramedic looked at him, seemed to recognize something in his face, and didn't argue further. They loaded me into the ambulance, Luca climbing in beside me, still holding my hand like he was afraid I'd disappear if he let go. "Why are you doing this?" I whispered. "You don't even know me." "You work for me. That makes you my responsibility." His thumb moved against the back of my hand, a gesture so gentle it seemed at odds with everything else about him. "Besides, whoever did this used you to send me a message. That means this is my fault. And I take care of my mistakes." "I'm not a mistake." "No." His expression softened slightly. "You're not." I held on to those words as they rushed me into surgery, as the anesthesiologist counted backward, as everything finally, mercifully went black. I woke up to machines beeping and pain that was somehow worse for being distant, muffled by drugs. The hospital room was private, expensive-looking, with afternoon light slanting through half-closed blinds. And sitting in a chair beside my bed, looking like he hadn't moved in hours, was Luca, Castellano. "You're awake." He leaned forward immediately. "How do you feel?" "Like someone stabbed me." My throat was raw from the breathing tube. "How long?" 16 hours. You were in surgery for 4, recovery for the rest. The doctor said the knife missed your vital organs by less than an inch. You're incredibly lucky." "Lucky. Right." I tried to shift position and immediately regretted it as pain flared through my side. Luca was there instantly, adjusting my pillows with surprising gentleness. "Thank you," I managed, "for saving my life, for staying." "Don't thank me yet." His expression was grim. "Sophie, I need to ask you some questions. I know you're in pain, but this is important. The voice you heard, you said it was familiar. Someone who'd been to the gallery before." I closed my eyes, trying to pull the memory through the fog of pain and drugs. The voice had been male, American accent, no particular regional marker. But there'd been something in the cadence, the way he'd shaped certain words. "Your family," I said suddenly. "He sounded like your family. Same speech patterns, I don't know, same rhythm." Luca went very still. "My family?" "I've met your cousins, your uncle, when they visit the gallery." I forced myself to focus despite the exhaustion pulling at me. Whoever stabbed me, he talked like them. Not exactly the same, but close enough that my brain recognized the pattern even if I couldn't place it specifically. That's good. That's very good. But he didn't look pleased. If anything, he looked furious, in a cold, controlled way that was more frightening than shouting would have been. "Is there anything else? Any other detail, no matter how small?" I tried to remember. "A ring. When he grabbed me, I felt a ring on his hand. Large, heavy. It pressed against my throat." "What kind of ring?" "I don't know. I didn't see it." I was so tired, the words slurring together. "I'm sorry. I'm not being very helpful." "You're being incredibly helpful." He stood, moved to the window, stared out at the city below. "You're also in danger. Whoever did this knows you work for me, knows you could potentially identify them. They'll come after you again." "That's comforting." He turned back to me, and I saw something shift in his expression. "I'm going to keep you safe, Sophie. Starting now. There's a man outside your door. His name is Marco. He works for me. Nobody gets in or out without my approval. When you're discharged, you're not going back to your apartment. Excuse me? It's not safe. You'll stay at one of my properties until we sort this out. You can't just..." I have a life, Mr. Castellano. A job, bills to pay. You still have your job. You're on paid medical leave until you're healed. As for your apartment, I'll have your things moved to somewhere secure. And it's Luca." He crossed back to my bedside, his expression intense. "I told you in the ambulance. You're my responsibility now. That means I don't let anything else happen to you. That means you do what I say when it comes to your safety." I should have been angry. Should have told him he couldn't just take over my life like that. But I was 27 years old, living alone in a studio apartment I could barely afford, with no family in the city and friends who were really just acquaintances. And someone had stabbed me, left me bleeding on a marble floor, would probably try again if given the chance. "Okay," I whispered. Surprise flickered across his face, like he'd been expecting an argument. "Okay? What choice do I have? You're right. I'm in danger, and I don't exactly have a security team on speed dial." I met his eyes. "But I have conditions." "Of course you do." Was that amusement in his voice? "I want to know what's really going on. Why someone would stab me to send you a message. What kind of business you're actually in. If I'm going to trust you with my life, I deserve the truth." Luca was quiet for a long moment. "Most people in your situation wouldn't want to know." "I'm not most people." "No." He sat back down, studied me with those dark, intense eyes. "You're not. All right, Sophie. You want the truth? My family runs legitimate businesses. The gallery, construction, real estate. We also run less legitimate operations. Protection, gambling, some import-export that customs doesn't ask too many questions about. We have rules. We don't deal drugs, don't traffic people, don't hurt civilians. I'm a civilian. I got hurt. You got hurt because someone's making a play for power. My brother, Dante." The name came out like broken glass. He thinks I'm too soft, too invested in the legitimate side of things. He wants to take control, push the family back toward the old ways. Harder, more violent, more profitable. I've been blocking him. So he's trying to prove I can't protect the people I'm responsible for. He stabbed me. It wasn't a question. I don't know for sure. But it fits his style. Dramatic, personal, designed to make me look weak. His hands clenched into fists. If I'm right, if he's the one who did this, by sunset, he's going to wish he'd never been born. The absolute certainty in his voice sent a shiver through me. "What are you going to do?" "Find him. Make him answer for what he did, and make sure he never threatens anyone under my protection again." He leaned forward, his gaze locked on mine. "I need you to understand something, Sophie. The world I live in, it's not kind. It's not fair. People get hurt. People disappear. And I've done things that would horrify you if you knew the details. But I have one rule I never break. I protect what's mine. And right now, whether you like it or not, you're mine." I should have been terrified. This man was confessing to criminal activities, talking about making his own brother disappear, claiming ownership of me like I was property. But underneath the fear was something else, something warm and dangerous that had nothing to do with safety, and everything to do with the way he was looking at me. "I'm not yours," I said, but my voice lacked conviction. "Not yet." His smile was sharp. "But you will be." They released me from the hospital 3 days later with strict instructions about wound care and pain management. Marco, Luca's man, drove me to a penthouse apartment in the financial district, the kind of place I'd only ever seen in magazines. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooked the water, gleaming hardwood floors stretched through open-concept rooms, and my bedroom was bigger than my entire old apartment. "Your things are in the closet," Marco said, setting my bags down. "Mr. Castellano arranged for everything to be brought over. If you need anything, there's a phone in every room. Just press 1 and it connects directly to security." Security for one injured curator. Seems like overkill. "Mr. Castellano doesn't do anything by half measures." Marco moved to the door, paused. "For what it's worth, miss, I've worked for the Castellano family for 15 years. Luca's a good man, Hard, but fair. If he says he'll keep you safe, he means it. After he left, I explored my temporary prison, marveling at the luxury and trying not to think about what it meant that Luca could arrange all this with a phone call. My clothes looked shabby hanging in the walk-in closet next to what I assumed were emergency outfits he'd had someone buy, still tagged in my exact size, nicer than anything I owned. The bathroom had a tub big enough to swim in, and products that probably cost more than my monthly rent. I was standing at the windows watching the sun set over the water when I heard the key in the lock. Luca walked in, looking like he'd been through hell, suit jacket gone, tie loosened, hair disheveled. But it was his knuckles that made my breath catch, split, bruised, wrapped in fresh bandages. "Is that from him?" I asked. He glanced at his hands like he'd forgotten about them. "Among other things." "Did you find Dante?" "I found him." He crossed to the bar, poured 2 fingers of whiskey into a glass, downed it in 1 swallow. "He's not going to be a problem anymore." "What does that mean?" "It means he's gone. Left the city, left the family, left the country, if he's smart. And if he ever comes back..." Luca poured another glass but didn't drink it, just stood there staring at the amber liquid. "He confessed. Said he wanted to prove I was weak, that caring about the legitimate businesses made me vulnerable. He thought if he hurt someone I was responsible for, it would force me to show weakness, give him an opening to challenge my position. He used me. He tried to kill you." Luca's voice went hard. "There's a difference. And he paid for it." I moved closer, drawn by something I couldn't name. "How badly did you hurt him?" "Badly enough." He finally looked at me, and I saw exhaustion in his eyes, and something darker. "Does that scare you, knowing what I'm capable of?" "It should." I reached for his damaged hands, turned them over gently. "But no, because you did it to protect me, to get justice for what he did." "Justice." He laughed, but it sounded broken. "That's a pretty word for ugly actions, Sophie." "Maybe. But I'm tired of pretending the world is prettier than it is." I met his gaze. 6 months ago, my ex-boyfriend stole my savings and disappeared. $12,000 I'd spent years saving, gone in a night. I went to the police. They said unless I could prove it was theft, and not a gift, there was nothing they could do. The justice system failed me. Sometimes ugly actions are the only real justice there is. Something shifted in Luca's expression. "I didn't know that." "Why would you? I'm just the assistant curator, forgettable Sophie Chen who works late and keeps her head down." I carefully released his hands. "But you saw me. When I was bleeding on your floor, you didn't look at me like I was forgettable. You looked at me like I mattered." "You do matter." He set down the glass, moved closer. "I haven't been able to stop thinking about you since I found you. The way you tried to stay conscious, the way you apologized for not being more helpful, the way you looked at me without fear even when you should have been terrified. You got under my skin, Sophie, and I don't let people under my skin." "Why not?" "Because everyone I care about becomes a target. Like you did." His hand came up to cup my face, his touch achingly gentle despite the violence those hands had dealt. "I should send you away. Put you on a plane to somewhere safe, far from me and my world. But I'm too selfish. I want to keep you close." "Then keep me close." The words came out barely above a whisper. "I'm not asking you to send me away. I'm asking you to let me choose." "Choose what?" "This. You. Whatever this is between us." I leaned into his touch. "I know it's crazy. I know we barely know each other. But I've spent my whole life being careful, being sensible, avoiding risks. And where did it get me? Stolen from, stabbed, alone. Maybe it's time I took a risk on something that feels real. Sophie." My name on his lips sounded like a prayer and a curse. "If we do this, if we cross this line, there's no going back. You'll be tied to me, to my family, to everything we do. People will target you to get to me. Your life will never be simple again." It was never simple. I was just pretending it was. I rose on my toes, bringing my face closer to his. So stop trying to protect me from you and just kiss me already. He did. The kiss was everything I'd imagined and nothing I'd expected. Fierce and gentle, claiming and giving, full of 3 days of tension and fear, and this impossible connection that had formed over blood and violence. His hands cradled my face like I was precious, like I might break, but his mouth was demanding, showing me exactly what kind of man he was. Someone who took what he wanted, but never more than was offered. Someone who understood the difference between power and force. When we finally pulled apart, both breathing hard, his forehead rested against mine. "You're sure about this?" he asked. "Because once I claim you, Sophie, I don't let go. That's not who I am. I'm sure. Even knowing what I am, what I've done, especially knowing what you are." I kissed him again, softer this time. "I don't need you to be a hero, Luca. I just need you to be honest." Over the next weeks, I healed and learned what it meant to be part of Luca's world. He was right. It wasn't simple. There were late-night phone calls that sent him rushing out at odd hours, meetings with dangerous men who looked at me with curiosity and calculation, moments when I saw the hard edges of his business in ways the gallery had never shown me. But there were also mornings waking up in his arms, dinners where he asked about my work with genuine interest, quiet evenings where we talked about art and family, and everything we'd never said to anyone else. He introduced me to his mother, an elegant woman who looked at me with knowing eyes and said, "Finally, someone with sense," and his cousins, who welcomed me with a warmth that belied their reputations. And slowly I stopped being Sophie Chen, the assistant curator, and became Sophie Chen, Luca Castellano's woman. It should have felt like losing myself. Instead, it felt like finally being seen. 3 months after the stabbing, I returned to work at the gallery. Luca had wanted me to wait longer, to stay safely tucked away in the penthouse, but I'd insisted. I loved my job, loved the art, loved the careful work of curating exhibitions that moved people. He'd finally agreed, on the condition that Marco accompanied me and that I never worked late alone. I was cataloging a new acquisition, a stunning landscape by an emerging artist, when Luca walked in. He was supposed to be in a meeting across town, but here he was, striding through the gallery like he owned it, which technically he did. "Sophie." He stopped in front of me, and I noticed he was holding something. "I need to talk to you." "Is everything okay?" "That depends on your answer." He set a velvet box on the table beside my laptop. "Open it." My hands shook as I lifted the lid. Inside was a ring. Not a flashy diamond, but a sapphire the color of midnight, surrounded by smaller stones that caught the light like stars. It was the most beautiful thing I'd ever seen. "Luca, 3 months ago, I found you bleeding on my floor, and my first thought was that I couldn't let you die. My second thought was that I wanted to destroy whoever had hurt you. My third thought was that I wanted to know everything about you." He took the box from my trembling hands, removed the ring. "I've been married to my work, my family, my responsibilities for 15 years. I never wanted anything else. And then you looked at me, without fear, and asked me to kiss you, and I realized I'd been waiting my whole life for someone brave enough to choose me, knowing exactly what that meant. Are you proposing?" My voice came out higher than normal. "I'm telling you that you own me, Sophie Chen. Body, soul, every dark corner and dangerous edge. I'm telling you that I want to wake up next to you for the rest of my life, fight beside you, build something real in the middle of all this chaos." He took my hand, slid the ring onto my finger like a brand. "So yes, I'm proposing. Marry me. Be my wife, my partner, my reason for staying more legitimate than my family wants. Keep me honest. Keep me human." Tears were streaming down my face, but I was smiling. "That's a lot of responsibility. You can handle it." His thumb brushed away my tears. "You're the strongest person I know. So, what do you say?" I looked at the ring on my finger, thought about everything that had brought us here. The violence and the protection, the fear and the safety, the impossible connection that had formed over blood and trust, and choosing each other every single day. "Yes," I said. "Yes. I'll marry you. He kissed me then, deep and claiming, right there in the middle of the gallery, and when he finally pulled away, his smile was real and warm and full of promises I knew he'd keep. There's one more thing, he said, not letting me go. I want to make an announcement, at the gallery opening next week. Tell everyone officially that you're mine. You want to announce our engagement at a work event? I want everyone in this city to know that you're under my protection, that you're my fiancée, my future wife, and anyone who even thinks about hurting you will answer to me. His expression went hard for just a moment. Dante may be gone, but there are others who might see you as weakness. I want them to see you as strength, as proof that I'm building something that can't be torn down. That's actually romantic in a terrifying kind of way. That's my specialty. He kissed my forehead. Get used to it, future Mrs. Castellano. The gallery opening was everything Luca had promised, elegant, well-attended, full of the city's elite. I wore a dress he'd insisted on buying, deep blue to match my ring, and tried not to feel self-conscious as people stared. By now, rumors had spread about the curator who'd been stabbed, and the boss who'd moved mountains to protect her. We were gossip fodder, scandal wrapped in romance. Halfway through the evening, Luca took the microphone. The room quieted instantly, everyone turning to watch. Thank you all for coming tonight, he began. The Castellano Gallery has been a fixture of this city for 3 generations, and events like this remind me why my family has always believed in supporting the arts. But tonight, I want to talk about something more personal. His eyes found mine across the room. 3 months ago, someone tried to hurt someone I cared about. They thought it would make me weak. Instead, it showed me what I'd been missing, what I'd been too focused on business to see. He crossed to where I stood, took my hand, pulled me up beside him. I could feel every eye in the room on us. Sophie Chen is brilliant, brave, and far too good for me, he continued, his voice carrying to every corner. She's also agreed to marry me, which proves she has questionable judgment but excellent taste in sapphires. Laughter rippled through the crowd. I'm telling you this because I want everyone to know. She's mine. She's under Castellano protection, and she's the best decision I've ever made. Then, in front of everyone, he kissed me. Not chastely, not for show, but with the same fierce claiming he'd shown me in private. When he pulled away, the room burst into applause. Show off, I whispered. You love it, he whispered back. And he was right. I did. 6 months later, we were married in a ceremony that blended his family's traditions with my own, my parents flying in from California with expressions that said they weren't sure whether to be thrilled or terrified. Luca charmed them completely within an hour, and by the end of the night, my father was clapping him on the back like they'd known each other for years, standing at the altar, looking at the man who'd saved my life and then claimed my heart. I thought about how far we'd come, from blood on marble floors to this. Promises made, future secured, love built on truth and trust and choosing each other every single day. You ready for this? Luca asked as we signed the marriage certificate. Ready for what? Spending my life with a criminally overprotective man who thinks grand gestures are a normal Tuesday? Exactly that. I laughed, kissed him, and said the truest thing I'd ever known. I've never been more ready for anything in my life. Because sometimes the worst thing that ever happens to you, bleeding out on a gallery floor while a stranger demands to know who hurt you, is actually the doorway to everything you never knew you needed. Sometimes the man who asks who stabbed you, with murder in his eyes, is exactly the man who will spend the rest of his life making sure nothing ever hurts you again. And sometimes love doesn't come gentle and safe. Sometimes it comes fierce and claiming, built on protection and partnership, and the absolute certainty that you've found someone worth keeping. As for Dante, word filtered back eventually that he'd tried to set up operations in Eastern Europe, had crossed the wrong people, and had disappeared completely. Luca never spoke about it, but sometimes I'd catch him staring out at the city with an expression that said he knew exactly what had happened and had made his peace with it. His brother had tried to kill me to prove a point, and in doing so, he'd given Luca and me something infinitely more valuable, each other. In the end, Dante didn't go missing because of Sunset. He went missing because he'd underestimated what would happen when you threaten something a man like Luca Castellano decides to keep. But happiness in our world was always borrowed, never owned. The threat came exactly 1 year after our wedding, delivered in the cruelest way possible, through someone I'd come to trust completely. Her name was Marina Petrov, and she'd started working at the gallery 6 months earlier as my assistant. She was efficient, knowledgeable about art, and had a warmth that made even the most difficult collectors smile. I'd recommended her for a promotion just last week. I'd invited her to family dinners. I'd trusted her with keys, alarm codes, access to every part of my life. I should have known better. The first sign something was wrong came on a Tuesday morning, when I arrived at the gallery to find Marina already there, which wasn't unusual. What was unusual was the pallor of her skin, the way her hands shook as she handed me my coffee. "Are you feeling okay?" I asked, concerned. "I'm fine, just didn't sleep well." She smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. "Sophie, can we talk? In your office?" Something cold settled in my stomach, but I nodded. We walked through the gallery to my office, a beautiful space overlooking the sculpture garden that Luca had insisted on renovating when I took over as head curator. Marina closed the door behind us, and I noticed she locked it. "Marina, you're scaring me. What's going on?" "I'm so sorry." Her voice broke. "You have to understand. I didn't have a choice. They have my daughter." "Who has your daughter?" "Marina, talk to me." The office door to the private hallway, the one only Luca and I had keys to, opened. 3 men walked in, and my blood turned to ice. I recognized the one in front from family gatherings, from meetings I'd sat in on, from the careful structure of Luca's organization. Alexei Volkov, one of Luca's most trusted lieutenants, a man who'd been with the family for a decade, a man who'd toasted at our wedding. Sophie Castellano. Alexei's accent was thick, Russian vowels wrapped around Italian consonants. "We need to have conversation." I reached for my phone, but one of his men was faster, plucking it from my hand before I could dial. "Luca will know something's wrong when I don't answer his calls." "Luca is in meeting across city. Very important meeting that I arranged. He will not know anything is wrong for at least 2 hours." Alexei sat in the chair across from my desk like he owned it. "Plenty of time for us to talk about future." "What future? Alexei, whatever this is coup." He said it calmly, like he was discussing the weather. "Luca has made family weak. Too much focus on legitimate business, too much concern for rules and civilian protection. The old families, we are laughing at Castellanos now, saying they are soft, saying they are not worth respecting. So, you're going to what? Kill me to prove a point? That didn't work out so well for Dante. Dante was fool who acted alone. I am not alone." He leaned forward. "Every lieutenant in Castellano organization, I have talked to them. Half agree with me. Other half, they are neutral. They wait to see who wins. Only few stay loyal to Luca. By end of today, those few will be dead, and Luca will have choice. Step down, let me take control, or watch his wife die slowly." The words hit me like physical blows. This wasn't random violence or a message. This was calculated, planned, a complete dismantling of everything Luca had built. "He'll kill you," I said, trying to keep my voice steady. "You know he will. The moment he finds out, he will be getting video of you tied to chair with gun to your head, and he will choose you over power, because that is who he is. That is weakness I am counting on." Alexei stood, nodded to his men. "Take her to warehouse. Make sure she is comfortable, for now. We want her able to speak on video, to beg husband to save her." Marina was crying openly now. "I'm sorry, Sophie. I'm so sorry. They have my Katya. She's only 8 years old. They said if I didn't help them. It's okay." I tried to sound calmer than I felt, tried to think. "Marina, it's going to be okay. Luca will fix this." Luca will surrender, Alexei corrected, or you will die. Simple choice for man who loves his wife. They zip-tied my hands, covered my head with a hood that smelled like oil and fear, and dragged me through the private hallway to a service exit I'd never used. I tried to count turns, memorize the feel of the vehicle they shoved me into, anything that might help if I got a chance to escape. But I was one woman against 3 armed men, and my bravery only extended so far. The warehouse they took me to was cold, echoing, full of shadows and the smell of rust. They tied me to a chair, removed the hood, and set up a camera on a tripod facing me. Alexei stood behind it, checking angles like he was filming a movie. "Now we call your husband," he said, pulling out a phone. "We show him what happens when he forgets what family really means." The phone rang twice before Luca answered. "Alexei, your meeting ran long. I'm heading back to the office." "Change of plans, boss." Alexei turned the camera so Luca could see me on the video call. "Your wife and we are having conversation about future of organization." I watched Luca's face on the small screen, saw the exact moment he understood what was happening. Every emotion flashed across his features, fear, rage, calculation, before he locked them all down behind the mask he wore for business. "If you hurt her, you will what? Kill me? Kill half your organization who stands with me?" Alexei laughed. "You are outnumbered, Luca. You have maybe 6 men still loyal. I have 20, plus contacts in every family from here to Chicago, who are happy to see Castellanos weakened. You want wife back alive, you step down. Tonight. Public announcement that you are retiring, that I am taking over operations. And if I don't?" Alexei pulled out a knife, held it close to my throat. I forced myself not to flinch, not to give him the satisfaction. "Then I send her back to you piece by piece, starting with fingers, moving up to more important parts. You have 3 hours to decide." He ended the call before Luca could respond. I sat there, heart hammering, trying to figure out what came next. 3 hours! In 3 hours, either Luca would surrender everything he'd built, or Alexei would start cutting. Unless I found another option. "Alexei," I said, keeping my voice level, "you've made a mistake." "Oh? What mistake is that?" "You assumed Luca would choose me over the family, but you're wrong." The lie tasted like ash, but I sold it anyway. "He's been looking for a way out of our marriage for months. I'm not from his world, don't fit with the family, 'cause more problems than I solve. You just gave him the perfect excuse to get rid of me and look like a victim." Alexei studied me. "You think I believe that?" "I think you've been away from Luca for too long, if you don't know what he's really like. He's smart, ruthless, and he plays the long game. You think he married me for love? I'm a trophy. Proof he could have the civilian life and the power. But trophies can be replaced." I leaned forward as much as my restraints allowed. "In 3 hours, he's going to call back and tell you to kill me. And then he's going to hunt down everyone involved in this coup while the organization is distracted by my death. You're not outmaneuvering him. You're doing exactly what he wants." I saw doubt flicker in Alexei's eyes. Good. Doubt meant hesitation, and hesitation meant time. "She's lying," one of his men said. "Everyone knows Luca is crazy about her." "Maybe. Or maybe that is what he wants everyone to think." Alexei circled my chair slowly. "Luca is smart, man. Would not be first time he sacrificed something to win larger game." "There's one way to find out," I said. "Call him back. Tell him you'll release me if he gives you control of the gambling operations and the dock contracts. See if he negotiates. Because if he really wants me back, he'll give you anything. But if I'm right, if I'm expendable, he'll tell you to go to hell." It was a massive gamble. If Alexei called and Luca did negotiate, I'd just convinced my captors I was worthless. If Luca didn't negotiate, I'd confirmed I was disposable. Either way, I was playing with my life, but I was also buying time. Alexei considered for a long moment, then pulled out his phone. "We try your theory," he called. Luca answered on the first ring. I haven't made my decision yet. I have new offer, Alexei said. You give me gambling operations and dock contracts. I give you wife back unharmed. You keep rest of organization. We split territory. Peaceful solution. There was a long pause. No. My heart stopped. No? Alexei repeated. You heard me. You want a war, Alexei. I'll give you a war. But I don't negotiate with traitors, and I don't give up territory because you managed to grab my wife. Luca's voice was ice and fury. You have two choices. Let Sophie go now and run as far as you can, or keep her and wait for me to find you. But know this, I'm not coming alone, and I'm not coming to negotiate. The call ended. Alexei stared at the phone, then at me. He said no. Told you. I tried to sound triumphant despite the terror clawing at my throat. I'm expendable. The organization is what matters. But inside I was screaming, because either Luca was playing a game I didn't understand, or he'd just signed my death warrant. Alexei paced, agitated. This doesn't make sense. He should have negotiated. He should have. He stopped, looked at me with narrowed eyes. Unless you are right. Unless this is part of larger plan. Or unless he's already moving against you and doesn't need to stall for time, I suggested. How many of your 20 men have checked in the last hour? His expression changed. He grabbed his phone, started making calls. I counted them. 5 calls, 5 conversations in rapid Russian. When he finished, his face was white. 6 men, he said slowly. 6 of my men are not answering. Luca works fast when he's motivated. I kept my voice casual despite the hope flaring in my chest. You might want to consider that running option he mentioned. Shut up. Alexei grabbed the knife again, held it to my throat. You think you are so smart? You think your husband is coming to save you? Maybe I kill you now. Send him body as message about what happens to people who defy me. Then you lose your only leverage. I forced myself to hold his gaze. Kill me, and Luca has nothing holding him back. Keep me alive, and you at least have a bargaining chip. The blade pressed harder against my skin. I felt it break the surface, felt blood trickle down my neck. Alexei's hand was shaking, with rage or fear, I couldn't tell. Boss! One of his men appeared in the doorway. We have problem. Someone is hitting our locations. 3 safe houses, 2 gambling operations. The warehouse on 5th. All hit in the last hour. Our men are either dead or disappeared. Alexei's knife moved away from my throat. How many men do we have left? Here? 4, counting us. Out there? Maybe 8 who aren't pinned down or running. 12 men. Alexei laughed, but it sounded broken. We had 20 this morning, and it has been 1 hour. Not even an hour, I said quietly. Luca told you he'd find you. He's not making threats. He's telling you facts. The explosion that ripped through the far side of the warehouse made all of us jump. Gunfire followed, rapid, controlled, professional. Alexei's men scrambled for weapons, shouting in Russian and Italian. One grabbed my chair, started dragging me toward a back exit. She comes with us, Alexei ordered. If we are... Going down. We take her with us. They dragged me through the warehouse, using me as a shield, my chair scraping against concrete. My hands were still zip-tied, the cut on my throat burning. We made it to a loading dock when more gunfire erupted, closer this time. One of Alexei's men went down, then another, and then Luca walked through the smoke. He looked like something from a nightmare. Suit jacket gone, white shirt marked with blood, gun in his hand, and murder in his eyes. Behind him, I counted at least 8 men, all armed, all moving with military precision. Let her go, Alexei. Luca's voice carried across the space, calm and absolutely deadly. Let her go, and I'll make it quick. You said you wouldn't negotiate. Alexei pressed his gun against my temple. You said she was expendable. I lied. Luca moved closer, and I saw his eyes find the cut on my throat, saw his expression go even colder. I wanted you to think I didn't care, so you'd get careless, make mistakes, give me time to dismantle your coup, which I did. All 20 of your men, dead or captured. Your contacts in other families, they're suddenly very interested in staying neutral. Your plan? Destroyed. Now let go of my wife before I stop being merciful. Merciful? Alexei laughed. There is nothing merciful about you, Luca Castellano. You are a monster, and everyone knows it. Yes, Luca agreed. I am. But I'm a monster who keeps his promises, and I promised Sophie nothing would hurt her. So, last chance. Let her go. I felt the gun tremble against my head, felt Alexei's desperation. He was cornered, his plan in ruins, his men gone. He had nothing left except me and his pride. If I let her go, you kill me, Alexei said. If you don't let her go, I kill you slower. Luca took another step. Your choice. Time seemed to stop. I could hear my heartbeat, feel the cold metal against my temple, see Luca's finger on his trigger. We were all balanced on the edge of violence, waiting to see who moved first. Then Alexei made his decision. He shoved me forward, chair and all, and ran for the loading dock exit. I hit the ground hard, pain exploding through my shoulder where I landed. Gunfire erupted behind me. I squeezed my eyes shut, waiting for a bullet to find me in the crossfire. Instead, I felt hands on me, careful and familiar. Sophie, look at me. I opened my eyes to find Luca kneeling beside me, his hands already working on my zip ties. Behind him, Alexei lay still on the ground, blood pooling beneath him. Is he... dead? Yes. Luca got the zip ties off, helped me up carefully. His eyes catalogued my injuries, the cut on my throat, the bruises forming on my wrists, the way I was favoring my left shoulder. Did he hurt you anywhere else? No, I'm okay. Luca, Marina, they have her daughter, an 8-year-old girl. We have to... already found her. He pulled me against him, held me so tight I could barely breathe. She's safe, with her mother, at one of our safe houses. I'll make sure they're both protected, relocated if they want. But right now, I need to get you out of here. He carried me out of the warehouse despite my protests that I could walk. Outside, the scene was chaos. Police cars, ambulances, men in suits having urgent conversations. But Luca walked through it all like he owned the city, carrying me straight to his car. The police, I started, are being very understanding about a business owner rescuing his wife from kidnappers. He set me carefully in the passenger seat, crouched down to be at eye level. Sophie, when Alexei called and I saw you tied to that chair, His voice broke. I've never been that scared in my entire life. You told him no. You said I was expendable. I was buying time and making him doubt his plan. Did you really think for 1 second I'd let anyone hurt you? He cupped my face with shaking hands. You're my everything. My wife, my partner, my reason for doing any of this. I would burn the entire city down before I let someone take you from me. You kind of did, I pointed out. 20 men in an hour? I had help. Turns out most of the organization was waiting to see who'd win before committing. When they saw how fast I moved, how hard I hit, they remembered why my family runs this city. His thumb brushed the cut on my throat, his expression darkening. But this never should have happened. I should have seen Alexei's betrayal coming. How? He was with you for 10 years. Exactly. I got comfortable, stopped watching for threats from inside. And you paid the price. He kissed my forehead, my cheeks, finally my lips. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Stop apologizing and take me home. I leaned into him, exhausted and hurting but safe. I want a bath, pain medication, and my husband holding me until I stop shaking. Done. He got in the driver's seat, started the engine. For the record, you buying time by convincing him you were expendable? That was brilliant and terrifying, and I'm both proud and furious that you took that risk. I learned from the best. The next few days were a whirlwind of debriefing, medical checkups, and Luca systematically rebuilding the organization with people he trusted absolutely. Marina and her daughter were relocated to California with new identities and enough money to start over. The lieutenants who'd stayed loyal were rewarded. The ones who'd been neutral were given a choice: recommit completely or leave. No one chose to leave. You scared them, I said one evening as we sat in our penthouse watching the sunset. They saw what you're capable of when someone threatens what's yours. Good. Let them be scared. Let everyone in this city know that crossing the Castellano family has consequences. He pulled me closer on the couch, careful of my healing shoulder. How are you really doing? Honestly, I'm okay. Scared sometimes. I keep replaying the moment with the knife at my throat. But I'm okay. I turned to look at him. Because I knew you were coming. Even when I was tied to that chair. Even when Alexei was making threats. I knew you'd find me. Always. His arms tightened around me. But I'm making changes. More security, better vetting of new people, protocols for situations like this. I won't be caught off guard again. Luca, you can't control everything. Watch me. But his smile softened the words. You're my wife, Sophie. The mother of... He stopped, looked at me with sudden intensity. Wait, are you pregnant? No, not yet. I'd taken a test that morning, seen the negative result with mixed feelings. But we're not being careful, so eventually... He kissed my temple. When it happens, I'll be ready. More than ready. I'll be the most paranoid, overprotective father in history. I'm counting on it. 6 months later, I stood in the gallery at the opening of our biggest exhibition yet, a retrospective of Italian Renaissance art on loan from museums around the world. It had taken 2 years to organize, and it was my triumph. Critics were calling it the art event of the decade. And Luca stood beside me, hand on my lower back, radiating pride. You did this, he said quietly, watching the crowds move through the space. This is all you. We did this, I corrected. The Castellano name opened doors. Your reputation got us loans other galleries could never secure. My reputation as what? A criminal? Your reputation as someone who keeps his promises and protects what matters. I leaned into him. Museums trust you because you've never let them down. Because when you say art will be safe, it is. Because you've built something legitimate and valuable and real. Because of you. He turned me to face him, right there in front of the crowds, and the critics, and the art world elite. I was just a criminal before you, Sophie. You made me want to be more. Made me believe I could be more. You were always more. I just reminded you. He kissed me then, in front of everyone, and I heard cameras clicking, but didn't care. Let them photograph us. Let them write about the curator and the crime boss, the beauty and the beast, the unlikely love story. Let them say whatever they wanted. Because I knew the truth. I knew that sometimes the person who saves you isn't a hero in shining armor. Sometimes he's a man who found you bleeding and refused to let you die, who dismantled an empire to keep you safe, who learned to be better because you made him want to try. And sometimes love doesn't come easy, or simple, or safe. Sometimes it comes fierce and claiming, built on trust and partnership, and the absolute certainty that you've found someone worth keeping, someone worth fighting the whole world for. As I stood in my gallery, surrounded by priceless art and the husband who'd moved heaven and earth to protect me, I couldn't help but smile. Because this, all of this, started with a question asked over blood on marble floors. Who stabbed you? And ended with a promise kept, a family protected, and a love that nothing, not coups or betrayals or threats, could break. That, I thought, was a masterpiece worth creating.